So this will be a short one. A number of people sent me this video of Russian soldiers who were training at a Russian training base, ostensibly before being deployed to Ukraine. And a lot was made of the fact that these soldiers were firing, and you could hear firing sounds, but none of the soldiers had a magazine in their rifle. And if you don't know, a magazine is basically a box that you put the cartridges or bullets in. So you put the magazine in the rifle and you can fire the rifle until the magazine has no more ammunition in it. Now, believe it or not, training without a magazine in your rifle to ensure that there's no live ammunition in the thing is actually a pretty common thing that most armies do, including the US Army. You got to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. I'll get to that and what I think they're doing, but first I want to point out some interesting parts of this video. All right, now the first thing I want to point out is that the two people watching this exercise are Field Marshal Sergei and Colonel General Yunus-bek Yevkurov. These are pretty high-ranking people. These guys are the defense minister and deputy defense minister. So it makes sense that these guys would be out reviewing the troops and making sure they're getting quality training. Although when you're trying to do training, whenever higher up people visit, it is a complete pain because now you're putting on a show for them instead of doing quality training. Like, look at this guy right here. He has probably the same look I would have on my face if I were forced to go meet the general. I already know how the conversation went that morning for this guy. All right, listen up, 3rd Platoon. I need 2 bodies. For what, Sergeant? Okay, I need 3 bodies. Anyway, then we see some footage of Russian Federation soldiers learning how to fire from loopholes or windows. Loopholes being small protected holes that are made in a wall so that you can fire without being detected. This guy actually sticks his rifle through the loophole. Don't do that if you ever have to shoot in an urban environment. You don't want to stick your rifle through the loophole because then you'll be detected. You want to try to hang back in the room and shoot out through the loophole with your muzzle still in the room. But that's kind of one of the problems with the Russian army right now. You don't have these mid-level NCOs or sergeants that will correct problems like that so soldiers don't do it in combat. Some people also got upset seeing this soldier in chemical protective gear. It's actually a perfectly normal thing for soldiers to learn how to put on and take off chemical protective gear. We do it in the US Army all the time. This doesn't really mean anything. This is standard training a soldier gets. Now, one more thing. If you watch the video, you'll hear that the firing sounds go through a transition that doesn't make much sense, and this is why people think it was added in post-production. Give this a listen. So it does seem kind of weird that you're in one area hearing this, and then ostensibly in the same area hearing this. Now, this is a map of the ranges at Fort Stewart, Georgia. I can tell you, if I'm doing small arms over at this range here, I'll be able to hear machine gunnery at these ranges over here, and they're a couple of kilometers or a couple of miles away. So if you are doing training in one location, it's not uncommon to hear echoing coming from another location. So that second sound does sound a little more realistic to me, but I would not be surprised if some journalist who doesn't know anything about the military added those heavy sounds in post-production just to make it sound more realistic. So what can we take from this video? Well, first of all, I think that some soldiers are getting genuine actual training. I also think some soldiers are being given a rifle and being sent to the front. Anyone who deployed with the National Guard or reserves in the American military multiple times during the global war on terror can probably attest to the fact that no 2 deployments were the same. Sometimes you got crappy training, sometimes you got good training, and a lot of it depended on who was running the training, your mission, and your unit's leadership. But whether this training from Russia will be effective remains to be seen. Thank you for watching.